Your brain is running two programs at the same time, and they're contradicting each other. One says you deserve everything you want. The other, the quieter one, has a list of reasons you'll never get it. Until those two programs agree, every affirmation you repeat is just noise bouncing off a wall you built yourself. Most people treat manifestation and psychology like they belong in different rooms, crystals on one shelf, therapy on the other. But the mechanism behind both is identical. And once you see how they overlap, the results stop being mystical and start being mechanical. The quiet program wins almost every time. That's the part worth understanding. Cognitive behavioral therapy operates on a simple premise. Your thoughts shape your feelings shape your actions, and your actions shape your outcomes. A therapist would call this the cognitive triangle. And if you've ever tried to manifest something while a voice in the back of your head whispered, "This is ridiculous," you've already felt that triangle working against you. Manifestation asks you to hold a mental image of what you want and believe it's coming. CBT asks you to notice the automatic thoughts that fire the moment you try. Those two requests are aimed at the same target, the internal narrative running beneath your conscious awareness, the story you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible for you. So why do they feel like opposites? Because manifestation typically starts at the end. You picture the result, the house, the relationship, the bank account. CBT starts at the foundation. It digs into the beliefs that make you flinch when you picture those things. One is a destination. The other is the road. And trying to reach a destination without a road is just daydreaming with your eyes closed. Here's where it gets mechanical. Your brain processes roughly 11 million bits of sensory information per second. Your conscious mind handles about 50. The filter that decides which 50, that's shaped by your beliefs. Psychologists call this the reticular activating system, and it's the closest thing neuroscience has to a manifestation engine. It literally determines what you notice in your environment. When someone practices manifestation and starts seeing signs everywhere, that's the reticular activating system adjusting its filter. The signs were always there, the filter changed. CBT does the same thing from the opposite direction. It identifies which beliefs are distorting your filter and gives you tools to correct them. The fusion of these two approaches creates something more effective than either one alone. Start with what CBT calls a thought record. For 1 week, every time you notice resistance while visualizing your goal, write down the exact thought, the specific sentence your mind produces. People like me don't get that. I'll probably mess it up. Who am I to want this? These aren't random. They're structured beliefs with roots, and they repeat with surprising consistency. Most people have between 3 and 5 core beliefs doing all the damage. 3 to 5 sentences running on loop beneath every decision, every hesitation, every self-sabotage cycle. The thought record makes them visible. You can't rewrite code you haven't read. Once you've identified the pattern, CBT offers a technique called cognitive restructuring. You take each belief and test it like a hypothesis. What evidence supports it? When did you first start believing this? Would you say this sentence to someone you love? That last question tends to land hard, because the answer is almost always no. The things we say to ourselves in the background would be cruel if we said them to anyone else. We just stop noticing because the recording has been playing since childhood. Now, here's where manifestation re-enters the frame, with actual power behind it. Once you've identified and weakened those core beliefs through restructuring, your visualizations hit differently. The resistance drops, the mental image gets clearer. Your body responds to it instead of rejecting it. And that body response matters more than most manifestation teachers acknowledge. When you visualize something and your body tightens, your chest constricts, your jaw clenches, that's your belief system voting no. Your physiology is more honest than your affirmations. CBT clears the obstruction so your body can actually participate in the vision instead of fighting it. There's a technique that bridges both worlds cleanly: behavioral experiments. In CBT, a behavioral experiment means testing a belief through action. You believe you'll be rejected if you ask for a raise? The experiment is asking for the raise and recording what actually happens. You believe you're bad with money? The experiment is managing a small investment for 30 days and tracking the data. Manifestation practitioners would call this acting as if. Same behavior, different vocabulary. You step into the identity of the person who already has what you want, and you let reality respond to that version of you. CBT just adds the tracking layer, the evidence collection that turns a leap of faith into a feedback loop. The feedback loop is where transformation accelerates. Each behavioral experiment generates data. The data either confirms or weakens the old belief. Weakened beliefs produce less resistance. Less resistance makes visualization more effective. More effective visualization sharpens your filter. A sharper filter makes you notice more opportunities. More opportunities feed the next experiment. That cycle, once it starts turning, builds its own momentum. But there's a failure mode most people hit, and it's subtle. They use affirmations as avoidance, repeating "I am wealthy" while refusing to look at their bank statement, saying "I am confident" while declining every invitation that scares them. CBT has a name for this: experiential avoidance. And it's the single fastest way to turn manifestation into a coping mechanism that keeps you stuck. The affirmation feels good. That's the trap. It produces a small hit of relief, a momentary sense that things are handled. And that momentary relief removes the discomfort that would have driven you to actually change something. You medicated the symptom and left the cause untouched. A CBT-informed approach to affirmations looks different. Instead of "I am wealthy," you might use "I'm building the skills to manage wealth effectively." Instead of "I am confident," try "I'm choosing to enter uncomfortable situations," because that's how confidence is built. The difference is subtle in words. In your brain, the difference is seismic. One is a fantasy. The other is a commitment your mind can actually get behind because it's grounded in observable action. There's a concept in CBT called the downward arrow technique. You take a surface belief and keep asking, "And what would that mean?" until you hit bedrock. I want to manifest a successful business. Why? So I can be financially free. And what would that mean? I wouldn't depend on anyone. And what would that mean? I'd finally be safe. Safety. That's the bedrock belief for most people. The mansion, the relationship, the career, they're all proxies for a deeper need that often traces back to a moment in childhood when safety felt conditional. Manifestation aimed at the surface goal is like watering the leaves. The downward arrow finds the root. Once you reach that root belief, you can address it directly. And something strange happens. The surface goals often shift. The mansion might stay, or it might transform into something smaller, quieter, more honestly yours. The goal that emerges after clearing the distortion is almost always more specific and less performative than the original. Critics of manifestation argue it's magical thinking. Critics of CBT argue it's too clinical, too mechanical, stripped of meaning. Both criticisms land if you use either approach in isolation. Together, they compensate for each other's blind spots. CBT provides the rigor. Manifestation provides the direction and the emotional fuel. The rigor without fuel is just analysis. The fuel without rigor burns through everything and leaves you where you started, confused about why it worked for someone else. One practical protocol that combines both: spend 5 minutes each morning visualizing your goal, full sensory detail. Then immediately journal for 5 minutes using a thought record format. Capture every resistant thought that surfaced during the visualization. Spend another 5 minutes restructuring those thoughts using evidence, 15 minutes total. The visualization primes the filter. The journaling catches the interference. The restructuring clears it. Do this for 30 days and your internal landscape will be unrecognizable. The visualizations will sharpen because there's less static. The resistant thoughts will get weaker because you're challenging them daily instead of letting them run unchecked. And your behavior will start shifting because the gap between who you see in your mind and who you see in the mirror narrows every single morning. The people who get results from manifestation and the people who get results from therapy share one trait. They engage with the discomfort instead of decorating over it. The method matters less than the willingness to look at the thought running underneath the thought, the belief beneath the belief, the real reason you want what you say you want. Your next visualization, try this. Pay less attention to the image and more attention to the flinch. The flinch is the signal. The flinch is the map. Follow it downward and you'll find the only thing that was ever standing between you and the version of yourself you keep trying to picture.